I want to bring in Republican Congresswoman María Salazar of Florida, who voted in support of Kevin McCarthy to remain as Speaker. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us. What do you say to your 8 GOP colleagues who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy?
Well, you know, democracy is messy. I represent the city of Miami, and we are in love with the American political system. It's not a very happy day for that political system. I was a little bit distraught with what happened, but I have to respect what the other members of Congress who decided to vote against Mr. McCarthy have to do, because that is the way democracy works. But now we don't have a speaker, but we still have the same problems that we had yesterday and the day before, spending and the border.
Is this a problem of the American political system, or is it a problem of today's Republican Party? And how do you heal this problem? How do you fix it?
And I agree with what you're saying, that we have few members that are just not in line with what the Republican Party represents. Moderates and conservatives, and that has been debated in conference all throughout this month. But let's look forward, because what happened, it's not what we really wanted to happen. But maybe something good comes out of it. I am an eternally optimist. We have a problem with the border, and we have a problem with spending, as you know, and that was all we heard in that debate. McCarthy has tried to do what he could within 8 months. We have a major fiscal issue, $6 billion a day that we are spending. We need to stop that. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and we have a problem at the border. And I want to just share with you, because this is the first time that we talk, and you're one of the big boys at CNN, is that Salazar has presented something that could definitely help Democrats and Republicans, which is called the Dignity Act, which seals the border and at the same time gives dignity to those people who have lived here in the shadows. So,
but nothing's going to get done. Nothing's going to get done until there's a speaker, and there's no sign of how that's going to happen. What are you hearing about what the Republican conference does next? I mean, will there be a speakership vote tonight?
There will be a speaker soon. McCarthy, as I'm sure you know, left a list. Apparently, that is the way the rules works. That
right. There's a pro tem speaker right now, Patrick McHenry.
And if McCarthy decides not to come back, as they were explaining in the panel a few minutes before.
As a supporter of McCarthy, would you like him to come back?
Well, listen, let's go into conference and let's decide what's going to happen. What we do know is that this bickering cannot continue, because we have 8 more appropriation bills that need to be passed in order to fund the rest of the government.
But you're a supporter of McCarthy. Would you support him if he wants to become speaker, try to become speaker again? Or are there any other Republicans you would support to become speaker?
I would support the Republican that can move the conference forward, that has the votes to continue what I just said, the people's business. The average American that is watching us doesn't quite understand.
Who do you think can vote? Who would have the votes? I mean, is there anybody on your radar?
No one really knows who has the votes. So now we're going to go through that exercise right now and see who has our support and has enough credibility in order to move this cart forward.
Does this hurt Republicans' credibility just among electorate? I mean, people who want stuff to actually get done, the act you talked about that you're supporting on the border. I mean, Kevin McCarthy has been in power for a long time. There's not much new that they propose on the border that's gotten passed. I mean,
well, we were having conversations.
Does this damage Republicans?
Well, it's not the best optics for Republicans, but at the same time, we don't run our conference the way Nancy Pelosi did, which was a lot more or less democratic. That's why I said to you a few minutes ago, democracy is messy.
I'm guessing Speaker McCarthy wishes he had run things like Nancy Pelosi did, no?
But the thing is that is a longer conversation as to why he was not able to do it. And I'm sure that you know the answer to that. But going back to the regular American guy, and I don't think it's competence. No, I think it's other issues that I don't think we should be discussing right now, because this is the moment of reckoning for the Republican Party. But I repeat, the American audience that is watching us has problems. They have to pay rent. The inflation is very high. I don't have to explain to you the state of the economy. So what is it that we need to do? We need to lower the spending, we have to create more jobs, and we have to seal the border, which is number one for everyone, including the Dems. Look what's happening in New York City. So I repeat, there are solutions out there, and I have introduced a legislation bipartisan. I'm one of the most bipartisan members in Congress, and at least the solution is out there. But I know that you want to talk about the Speaker. Let's see, no one really knows. Whomever tells you, oh yeah, I know who it is, no one really knows. But I can maybe advance some information later on after we go to conference.
Congresswoman María Elvira Salazar, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
To you, Anderson.